very quickly check in on a couple of Facebook pages, because number one, I have my personal Facebook page, which I will now make public, which means you can all comment on that, but also on an Englishman in San Diego, which we should now, and indeed I'm seeing videos live, we're now broadcasting on an Englishman in San Diego. And there it is. I'll explain why in a second, because can't seem to make that public, but maybe it's shareable now, but who knows. It's top of the hour. We would usually be doing a countdown, but we're just going to dive into it. Hello all from London. Hello Andrew English. It's welcome along to you, Squire. Good to have you along. Good morning all from Michael P. Right. Hello there. We have had some great guests this the last 2 months, 2.5 months now. I'll just bring this round because Sean, we'll also talk about this today as well. San Diego Comic-Con. Your YouTubers working this week. Yeah. Well, considering I've paid some money, and I'll explain more in a second. Right. Yeah. We've had some great guests, and I'm a little bit disappointed with Wednesday, to be fair, considering it was number one, an epic show, 2 hours worth. We've had two 2-hour shows this season. We had Donny Cates and Megan Hutchinson, which was amazing. And then on Wednesday, we had Declan Shalvey, artist of Moon Knight and Bog Bodies, and some incredible talent. We've got loads of people who are jumping in. Hola from San Diego, says Aaron Neighbors. Who else we got? We got Carol. Good morning from San Diego. Sarita P's joined us. Hello, Sarita. Welcome along. So yeah, we had Alex Packnadell and we had Declan Shalvey. Thanks to a cock-up in YouTube's corner, it didn't broadcast out on YouTube, or it didn't go live. Thanks to a scheduling thing, which the way that the Restream, the plugin that I use with StreamYard, didn't work. It's only had like 5 views. I reposted the video, which was really annoying. I want you to see that. It's a great show. The first half, it's a nice little bit of banter between Alex and Declan. Very much talking about creative process, talking about cons, talking about anything and everything. These guys know their stuff. And then we got into just because Declan had to go, and next thing you know, we just started talking with Alex Packnadell, and we talked for an hour extra. He is one of my favorite people, and I would heartily recommend you checking out that stream out because I'm rather proud of it. I reposted it. You can watch it anytime you like. I know that the views are mostly counted from people watching live now, but if you get the chance to watch it, it's a lot of fun. Right. This is what we're going to do with this one. This is a State of the Union. The setup that I use, the site that I use is Restream. It's StreamYard. StreamYard, you may recognize if I go to the brand and whatever, if I go to that, you see this at the bottom, and you see all the banners at the bottom as well, and all of that. Does it look familiar? It looks familiar because there's so many people using the StreamYard setup. It's easy to use. It's the most, unlike Google Hangouts, which was a nightmare to use. This is very simple. You just go to a link, anyone who wants to jump in and goes to a link, they click on it and they just join in on the browser. And that's what we're going to do today. Because the thing about the show for the last couple of months, while it has been great to have some amazing guests on, and I have been doing my best to get your comments and questions in, I think it's about time to remind ourselves it's about you guys. The reason why I went twice a week is to make it a community. It's for the convention family. It's for you guys. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to put the invite link to this particular stream. I'm going to go to an Englishman in San Diego. I'm going to go to the video. And basically, hopefully I can find the video. Oh, there it is. I'm going to put it in the Q&A. I'm going to put it in the comments. In other words, I'm going to be inviting you guys. I want this to be a group chat. I want this to be our round table. If you want to come on and not be seen, maybe you got your phone, you just want to chat, but you want to talk out what you want to talk out, you can in fact select it where you can just join in. It puts an avatar up on screen and we'll just be able to hear you. But if you want to come on by camera, if you've got your phone, it opens up in a browser. If you're on your laptop, it just opens up in a browser, Chrome, whatever. I'm now going to post the stream, the link to the live stream in the Q&A right now. I'm hitting send, and it's basically a link that you can join in. This is your show. This could be something which could either work or it won't, but this is going to be all about you. This is a State of the Union where we can talk out anything and everything. We can talk about the things that have happened over the last couple of months. We can talk about artists that you've been following, events that have happened which have affected you. We can talk about conventions. We can talk about our frustrations. We can talk about the seeming apparent desire of everybody else to just go back to the way things were straight away when things haven't recovered yet. We're not there yet. Basically, you will show up in my invite down at the bottom and you can just jump in. You can just join us and just say hello. You could even just come in, wave, and go away. It's as simple as that. If you are an artist that follows me on Twitter and is watching this on your live stream, go to the Q&A link in the YouTube chat. Come on and share your wares. Tell us about a project that you're doing. Tell us about something you're up to at the moment. I mean, we've got loads of people watching. Dan Berry is watching. Into the Blue Mister. We're all going to come on the show and pretend to be Dan Berry. Well, yeah, I mean, Dan Berry is Spartacus, frankly. He is anywhere and everywhere. He is ever present, and that's fine. Maybe he wants to come on. Who knows? What's this? Dan Berry, the wave and go away, the Justice League at San Diego Comic-Con method. That was an interesting year. That was, yeah. Let's invite them all on stage, wave, tell them that the film's coming out next summer, and then bugger off. That was one of the most pointless appearances at a Comic-Con ever. It's ridiculous. But if you're watching this on Facebook too, I might even just do it put it on Facebook as well. This is going to be risky, but we'll see what happens. I'm going to put it in the comments. There we go. And you can just join us. There you go. Comments there. I'm not going to put it on Twitter. That's a bit risky. But if you are watching this, and like I say, you just want to come on and talk about the way things are, the way things have been, and the way things could be. I mean, I'm going to start things off with a topic. Hello there, Daniel. Nice to have you joining us along, sir. Hey, hey. We've got Michael P. is joining us. I think he's just getting himself settled, getting himself in front of his camera. Yeah. We can take, I think it's 6 guests on at a time. We can stick as many people in the background down below and kind of rotate if need be. But if you just want to come on and talk, by all means. But FYI does not show up on Periscope TV. What, the comments or the link or... that's a shame. Chuck, if you want to... I mean, I'm tempted to just send him a message. But yeah, I mean, so I wanted to start with a couple of topics. The link doesn't show up on Periscope. Okay, I'll tell you what then, Chuck. What I'll do is I'm going to go to. I happen to know you well, and I know I like you, and I love you, and I will go to your. I'll go to your Twitter. sir, and I'll send you a message. So there we go. Just got to find you. There we go. And there you go. And I'm going to send it to you as a direct message. So if you want to jump in, there we go. Right, Michael P. Like I say, well, okay. So yeah, the couple of topics that I wanted to dive into straight away off my own back was Comic-Con at home, and also New York Comic-Con. I wanted to get into those, but Into the Blue Mister is reminding us very quickly two things that would like quickly mention. One, Denny O'Neil passing away just a few days ago, and two, Al Jaffe, famous Mad Magazine artist, retires age 99. Bloody 99, absolutely. That was cool to see online. And there's Chuck is there. Age 99. Bloody 99. Oh, getting a bit of an echo there, sir. But it's okay. We got you. And we've got Michael P as well. But Michael P, I think he's off camera at the moment. I think he clicked it and then disappeared. And maybe he's getting his cup of tea. How you doing, sir? How you doing, Chuck?
I'm all right. The thing that struck me as being relevant to us that was on Twitter this morning was that the governor of Georgia has opened the whole state back up again, which would include events like conventions. And we all at this point have a pretty good idea that most of the conventions don't think that they are, or really don't want to go on, but have to wait for the force majeure clause in their contracts to trigger, so they're not on the hook for a whole bunch of stuff. And so that makes me really, really concerned. I'm not going to Georgia for any cons in the near future, but one thing that I've been watching and noticing is Star Wars Celebration hasn't ended yet.
Correct.
Anaheim, end of August. But a real strong indicator for me has been if you go to their guests page, they still have 0 announced guests for a con that theoretically happens at the end of August, right? So they know what's up. And I'm concerned now, so what if they are forced to put on the con? I'm not going. So then I'm out my money for those tickets, and I'm going to feel kind of bad about it. But there's no way I'm going to a convention right now.
Wow.
There's no way I'm going to a convention right now.
Who's that? I'm getting a bit of a reverb there. It might be Michael. We'll work it out. We'll work it out. Yes. I find it interesting that, Star Wars Celebration is the one that you mentioned, is probably Star Wars Celebration and New York Comic-Con, which are the two big ones for the rest of the year, I feel. If I'm wrong, let me know. North America, I think those two are the big two. As far as I'm aware, Star Wars Celebration is operating as though it's going ahead. And I think a month later, there is a major gaming convention, which is not going ahead. And every other convention there is not going ahead. Is it only a matter of time, or are they just following on the wave of everyone just kind of... here in the UK, we've got the restrictions effectively being lifted, even though our R rate is still through the roof. It's ridiculous, but there seems to be this sense, certainly with protests going on, with conversations happening and things online, that okay, the restrictions are being lifted, let's get back to normal, and by the way, let's have it done by Tuesday afternoon. What? I know Michael P has been following a lot of the medical numbers and really keeping an eye on how things have been going.
You too, Leanne.
Yeah, Michael and I are medical nerds, so you know we've been following this stuff. I've been bugging Michael about it since I started seeing this stuff popping up. What, November, right? Is that when or was it December when I first said to you about it, that I saw something weird coming? But anyways, we've been following it along. I think also one of the reasons these conventions are not getting canceled is the states have dropped their state of emergencies or their lockdown orders. They're not going to be able to collect their insurance for this stuff. So I don't know where, that kind of leaves them in this weird gray area. And I 100% believe Dragon Con is on because Georgia they're marching on off the cliff right there. So
that's one way of putting it.
I agree with Leanne. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay, good. Yeah, I agree with Leanne. And this whole thing with Georgia Con, I mean, that's like scary. But let's wait and see if the stars show up. Which I kind of, if I'm a studio, there's no way in hell I'm going to let my people show up. That is insane. If they're barely getting back to work, they get sick, it shuts it down for another 3 to 4 weeks. Who has that kind of money?
I hear you, but I mean, we had this conversation with I can't remember who brought it up. I mean, it was one of the convention organizers that came on a couple of weeks. Obviously, my brain's a little bit of a mess at the moment, but there was the comment along the line of just how much money conventions earn for talent. And they have had a run of 3 months now of not earning any money. So they are in desperate need of cash. And a convention is very easy money for them to take that risk and walk away with 15, 20,000 in their back pocket.
Leonard?
The rest of us are thinking that that's rash and ridiculous and irresponsible. But I think people are now just looking at that bank balance. I mean, I currently have a grand total of 400 quid in my bank, and that's not going to last me much longer. I'm not going to be earning until the pubs reopen here in the UK, and that we're not expecting to happen for music playing in groups inside the building till the end of the year, which means I'm effectively screwed. That is a small indicator along somebody who's earning several thousands at a convention. And then there's the convention organizers themselves, which are losing out. And I think we're going to see a number of conventions which are just going to fall by the wayside.
Well, Leonard, can I interrupt you for just a second? You said $20,000 to $30,000. No, the top tier people make $100,000 plus on those weekends easily. Right. So I mean, that's a lot of money. That's $100,000 for 2 days of worth of work, and so all you do essentially do sit there, talk to people, and hug a few people and stuff like that. So it's like, but having said that, why would you pay for an autograph or a picture and you've got to stand 6 feet away from the person? It's like a Photoshop picture of them, you and them. I don't understand that. I don't get it.
Yeah. I mean, okay, let's backtrack a little bit and let's go a little bit positive, if we can. If we can, let's actually talk about how how we've been during the pandemic. I think my situation has been pretty well documented up to now. But I mean, we'll go around the table. I mean, it is a round table, by the way. Anyone else who wants to join in? You've seen the link in the jump in. I mean, we can take 6 guests. We can take 2 more. This is your show today. This is a roundtable show. This is all about your show. It's all about your thoughts and how things have been going. Chuck, I mean, introduce yourself to people. Where are you based? What do you do? And how's your pandemic been?
So, as it says, I'm BitSpitter. I'm BitSpitter pretty much everywhere. So I'm a nerd. I'm enough of a nerd that I moved from Texas to San Diego, and I've lived in San Diego for 3 years. It takes me 10 minutes to walk to the convention center, which I still do on a fairly regular basis just to see what's up. Downtown San Diego has gone from, at the beginning of the pandemic, from looking like a ghost town to now. Yesterday, I did my normal walk to the fish market and to the downtown farmers market in Little Italy, and many people wearing masks, many people not wearing masks, and it makes me crazy, including people who when you go to the fish market and you go to the farmer's market, you must wear a mask in order to come in. You have to. So seeing people walking from the market with no mask on with their bags of groceries means to me you only wore the mask when you went to the market, and as soon as you got out of there you took it off, because I know you have to have one. And I don't get it. It makes me
What's
insane.
the guidance in the US at the moment? Because here in the UK, it's if you are outside in a freshly ventilated area, if you're walking the street, you don't necessarily have to wear your mask. But it's when you're in a store, when you're in a supermarket, or if you're going into an enclosed space, then you have to wear your mask. Leanne's giggling away in the corner there.
Well, it varies from town to town, store to store, state to state.
Right.
It is a free for all. It depends on whether you are GOP or you are Democrat. At least in Texas, it is. Unfortunately,
So there's been no kind of clear-cut message. I mean, that clear-cut message disappeared when Fauci stopped appearing on screen, I think.
Well, in Texas, it disappeared when the cities like Austin and San Antonio said, hey, you have to wear a mask everywhere. This is a medical requirement. And then the governor stepped in and said, no, it's okay. You can wear it. It's optional.
Yeah.
So.
By the way, Into the Blue Mister, Leanne wins the picture contest this week. I think Into the Blue Mister has been judging all of our guests on their backgrounds. I mean, we had David Irwin from Heavy Metal. He definitely got 0 out of 10 because he just had nothing. But Leanne, you're definitely getting. Yeah, Chuck's got nothing. But there we go. There you go.
I mean, come on. I've got the whole all the way down the hallway.
I've got that Spider-Verse one.
Mine's in the wrong room for that.
Mine's signed. Anyway, there you go. Yeah, it's me and Chuck that's rather sparse on the background stuff, I think. But there we go. Okay. With San Diego, obviously it's a central hub, and it also got a bit of a spotlight as well with the convention center being transformed into the makeshift hospital and not makeshift, the homeless center. Is that still in place, and how busy is it at the moment?
I don't know whether it's still in place. I will tell you that it was interesting to me that even when it was or is fully occupied, as far as I know, you could not tell from the outside that anything was different. Right?
Now, is that more a case of show not tell?
I mean that in both senses of the word. You wouldn't be able to say that the convention center was being used for alternative purposes, and I could walk 3 blocks from my home and find a homeless encampment still. So I don't know exactly how all of that was supposed to work, but I can tell you if it was successful, it was only partially so.
Okay.
It's kind of a good and a bad thing for civil liberties and everything else. You can't round people up, force them to go, right? Convention center. And clearly some people weren't, and maybe have good reasons for not trusting. Oh yeah, come on, let's all put you in this big building together. I don't know.
So Lister Smeg,
we're giving big tours of the place.
Yeah. So Lister Smeg joining us. Hello there, sir. Although we have got some sound issues with Sir Lister Smeg.
Isn't he muted? It looks like he has a muted sign there.
He does, doesn't he? And let's try and unmute him.
I'm going to jump off and leave space for everybody else.
Are you sure?
Yes.
Okay, listen, Chuck, thanks for coming in. Thanks for coming on. Thanks for giving us that update on what San Diego's like at the moment. And stay safe, sir. Yeah, absolutely.
Kiss your beautiful wife for me. And
my mic, dude.
I miss her.
I will.
Okay.
Yeah, say hi to Phaedra. Excellent stuff. Okay, there we go. I think Solicitor Smeg is either frozen Or are you up and running? Are you there, sir?
Oh no, I'm getting a lot of.
Okay. Hello. I think it might be down to connection at his end, maybe. It might be a signal issue. But there we go. Okay, let's continue going around the room.
I'm getting a lot of lag. I might have to back out.
Fair enough. I mean, if you want to try again when you get a stronger signal, sir. We'll have to try him again. Oh dear, never mind. Okay, let's go around the room then. And once again, I mean, Michael, you're San Diego as well, I believe.
No, I'm in Colorado Springs. Remember?
So Colorado Springs. You see, this is where I always get confused. I always think you're in San Diego every single time.
I'm not anticipating going back for a while, Leonard. Not until sometime next year.
Okay. Yeah. In that case, Colorado Springs. I mean, I think we asked this question the last time you were on, but how's it been, and where are you at now in terms of the way that the locals are approaching the pandemic?
Interesting enough, Colorado has a Democratic governor, but it's a very Republican, very conservative state. So we actually started opening up. We were one of the first states to start opening up. And so, some places you go in, there's some places you have to wear a mask into. It's like Leanne says, it depends on the place. Some places you have to have a mask. Some other places they don't care, but they wear a mask. I've been to stores where the people working at the store don't wear a mask and they don't pay attention. They don't do social distancing. I mean, it's all over the map. And so, who knows what's going to happen next and this. But remember, everybody needs to remember, they never said it was going to disappear. The whole point was to level out the curve. And I think they've leveled out the curve, but we're still going to have new cases, and we don't know what's going to happen in the fall.
Yeah. And I know that, I mean, I'm trying to work out a way of wording this without offending a lot of people, which I will easily do. The whole rioting situation, the peaceful protests, it was a terrible thing which triggered these efforts off. But why now? Why did that have to happen now? Because the timing, I mean, my personal feeling on a lot of the protests was it was the water pressure exploding out of the valve. It was 2 months of people being stuck inside. This was a way of venting, getting out and expressing. But it's now going to just roll on when it comes to the pandemic, and it's almost like the pandemic has been forgotten.
Well, Leonard, the most interesting thing about this is an absolutely perfect storm. We have arguably the worst president, well, clearly of the last 2 centuries, right? I mean, arguably. I mean, I could argue that he's the worst, but we're not going to do that. But and then you have a pandemic, and then you have all this incredible frustration. It's like it's the perfect storm. It's like everything that could go bad has happened. Everything. I'm just waiting for that asteroid. Okay, I'm waiting for the asteroid. That's the only thing I'm waiting. The asteroid, right?
I'm waiting on super volcano. That's where my money's at. Super volcano or alien invasion. One of the two.
Oh, well, alien invasion would be fun though. Yeah, that would be all right. Okay.
Very quickly as well. Very quickly before we do carry on. Into the Blue Mister has pointed out something. When we had a guest on a couple of shows ago, we did get into a very anti-Trump rhetoric. Well, let's leave the politics out of this because I do want to appeal to all camps here. We all have our own personal feelings, and I'm not going to stop you from expanding on those. But let's also remember there, maybe Trump supporters are here, and by all means, if you feel that he's done as best he can in the situation, jump in. I don't know. Let's keep that in mind if we can. Leanne, where are you based, and how's your situation been over the last couple of months?
I'm somewhere lost in Texas. I'm in between San Antonio and Austin.
Right.
So yeah, I'm just about as far away from. I'm a little closer to San Antonio than I am Austin, but I claim both as home. So, you know, it's
now,
a large metropolitan area.
Texas, as we've seen, or certainly from keeping an eye on the numbers, is starting to get into a peak at the moment. It started to become a hotspot. Is that right?
Well, yeah, and all those come from when they opened everything back up Memorial Day. So this would be prior to the protests breaking out. So you've still got another 2 weeks, or well, less than that, another week or so before those numbers start popping in.
Okay.
I watch the data like a hawk. I love all that stuff. I mean, I don't love the pandemic, but I like that part of it, and just watching numbers climb.
And the metrics of it.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Solicitor's tried again. Have we got audio for you, sir? No, he's disappeared. Okay, fair enough.
I will say we've had quite an adventure. I mean, you know, Taylor had her school shut down in Kentucky, and we had like 3 days to rush to Kentucky to get stuff and move her out of a dorm and home. You know, so, and in the meantime, I mean, I'm pretty sure both of us had the coronavirus from being trapped in the airport. She had to spend the night in the airport the night that everybody was forced to come back from Europe.
Right.
So she got stuck in Dallas and spent the night there as all those people were coming through customs, and she was sick, but they wouldn't test her. We couldn't get a test in Texas to save our lives. I mean, you know, they kept telling us if you get admitted to the hospital, you can get a test, but you know, so
yeah.
But Leanne, you know, that goes back to one of our friends, Michael Leventhal. He had it, and he couldn't get it.
Now?
Yes, he couldn't get a test. He couldn't get
Did not know about that. Okay.
And then he got sick, and then after he was sick, he could get one of those after tests, and so he had the antibodies. So he'd actually had it. So I mean, we all know. I mean, well, Leonard, you clearly know someone who's had it. You know, I mean, and we think that you and your wife probably had it too, but they wouldn't do the test. That's the other issue. You know, we don't know the true figures because they are not doing what they need to do, i.e., testing as many people as they should.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know that she's going back to school. They're saying school starts back in August, but apparently they're going to be giving them an antibody test and a regular test when they come to school, kind of mark who's got it, who's had it, you know, as they march back onto class, you know, in the fall. So I guess we'll find out then.
Fair enough. Let's get into some convention topics then. Like I say, I mean, we kind of briefly talked about New York Comic Con and some of the big cons, but let's talk about Comic Con at home, about what San Diego's efforts are going to be. I mean, Michael follows Comic Con International, I think, almost as much as I do. Leanne certainly does as well, keeps an eye as a fan. We had some interesting headlines being pimped out by most of the pop culture sites this week, which was basically a confirmation of what we all already knew already, which was just ridiculous. But if I saw the words breaking news, if I see the words breaking news, I actually want it to be breaking news now. That's just the announcement then about Comic-Con International is going to run on the same dates as Comic-Con at home is going to run at the same dates as what would have been the convention. And they are talking about panels. They're talking about a virtual artist alley. Now, we've seen various shows trying to do this kind of virtual state. The unofficial blog is feeling that what we're going to be seeing is very much what we had with WonderCon, which is basically a website with a bunch of links to vendors. So that's that way of getting out the word about who would have been there. And then you're going to have a whole bunch of content, uneven, unbranded, and all over the place in terms of forms and format on their YouTube channel. What's your thoughts on Comic-Con at home? And considering the amount of content, I mean, one of the appeals of San Diego Comic-Con and the reason why people still pay the quite high ticket price is because the sheer amount of content that comes out of that show. things that you can find in every square corner. Can a virtual con even come remotely close to fulfilling what we need from Comic-Con at home?
Well, I don't know. I mean, they had a lovely thing set up a couple years ago that would have worked perfectly with all this. But what do I know?
No, I mean, it's.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, WonderCon seemed like it was set up and went over how many days? Dan would probably know this better than I did. I know it seemed like every time I would log on to Twitter, there'd be another thing for WonderCon. And it was like, WonderCon is like, what, 2 months long now? So,
Yeah. My fear is the things that you would stumble upon, those things that you would not expect to find anything about, and then you would it would become your new favorite thing. That's just going to be lost, and we're not going to see everything. It's just going to be that they're not going to be able to put out the content to justify the name San Diego Comic-Con. Michael?
Wow, that's a great lead in there. I actually agree with you on this. It's remember those times when you couldn't get into one of those rooms and then you'd go and you go someplace else, or else you would sit in a room waiting for something that you really want to see, and then guess what? Something else popped up and you go like, oh my God, how did I not know about this? It's not going to happen. But now, having said that, though, too, Leonard, remember HomeCon? Did you have a chance to watch HomeCon? Any of the things, or Leon? Either one of you guys watch that HomeCon?
I watched as much as I could. It was going out on Twitch, and I can't deal with Twitch as a platform.
I'm with Leonard.
It's so goddamn clunky. It's awful. There you go. It's awful.
But I understand what you're saying about the platform itself. It's like Crackle. I mean, Crackle. Those people need to be shot, but that's a whole side issue. But the point was, it was engaging because the stars that showed up there, they were not the tier A stars, right, or even tier B stars, but they were fun. They seemed to be having a good time. The questions came in, so I mean, it can be fun and intimate, but it's not going to be San Diego. I mean, San Diego. No, it's not going to be San Diego. Come on, it's not going to be San Diego. But they're trying, and the good thing is, as you said, they're going to have links to all the vendors and stuff to help the vendors out. So that is a good thing. Okay, so like you said, let's look at the positive, and because we can keep looking at the negative forever and a day. But they're trying and they do things, and I think the New York Comic Con, I think that they learned from Emerald City Comic Con, and so they're already, they actually went out and sent out a questionnaire already, and so they're, I think they're going to really blow it out of the water because they're going to actually do it right because they have enough time to figure out how to do it right.
Fair enough. We've actually got Marcy Bretz, who, if you could click on the StreamYard link and join us. But I mean, we'll bring it up. I mean, this is going to completely block out Leanne's face for a second.
That's okay.
So I completely
Nobody
apologize.
wants to see my face anyways.
Oh, gosh. Oh, shut up, you. Of course we do. I'm editing a CC at Home panel right now. The panels will be scheduled like a con in real life. San Diego Comic-Con will put their branding on it, but I assume the panels will vary greatly in technical quality as well as approach from the panelists. I will miss the random panels I found through accident or last-minute decisions. Absolutely, absolutely. That's interesting about the fact that it's going to be scheduled like a con in real life. That could be cool. I also think as well, if they work on maybe different channels for different tracks. So, for example, you could have your studio track, you could have your literary track, you could have your comics track, instead of just throwing it all into the one channel. Does that make sense?
That would be the best way for them to do it. First off, because then you don't also have like so many people at the same time trying to go into one, possibly. I don't know how they're going to run their platform, whether they're going to go on YouTube or do their own thing. But also, I would hope that they'd be able to, you could access these panels later on, because like Chuck just said, some of us are working. I'm back to work during most of the day doing what my real job would be. So, although I'm doing some other things there too.
I
So, Michael P knows this. Anyway,
I get the feeling that they'll stick with YouTube because of that kind of free egalitarian kind of vibe. I mean, although it's owned by Google and it's all about money now, fine. But the general consensus is it's an open platform that you can just log into a link and it's there. It's ubiquitous. It's interesting about the whole programming thing. I'm thinking that they may prep the panels beforehand and then premiere them at certain
I was just in an archaeology conference over this whole weekend, and that is exactly what they have done. Everybody was limited to a 32-minute panel for their presentations. Everything was set up ahead of time to go run over 2 days. So with different panels, even though they had time stamps of what time you could go in there and those panels would be accessed, but that you could really access everything for Saturday on Saturday, everything for Sunday on Sunday, and vice versa. You could go back and watch all that stuff. So, you know, it could work. It worked really well for this.
Yeah.
You know,
Sarita P, how many panels will there be? We have no idea, but it sounds like everyone that submitted for a panel has been asked to do something online. So I suspect that if you take maybe 60% of the panels that were approached or were going to be coming to San Diego, you're going to be getting them represented. And Into the Blue Mister, a virtual masquerade with online voting would be a hoot. As far as I'm aware, a masquerade is still on the cards. It could be cool. I mean, I'd like to see somebody strutting their cosplay stuff on a webcam and so like this, just coming on, showing their cosplay off, and then coming back. I think that'd be rather cool. Dan Berry, Sarita, as if that wasn't enough, Comic-Con at home will also have a masquerade gaming and other activities at which fans can participate in their own homes. That is a quote, I believe, from the official release. Marcy Bretts, MegaCon had multiple streams. Other cons had multiple platforms for discussion. Yeah, that could be one way of getting around it. Hey, hello,
hey.
Yay. It's that cap that I was that close to getting, but I left.
It's your cap, Leonard. I've saved it. Seriously, I saved it for you. I was going to mail it to you, but dear God in heaven, that cost like $5 cap cost. And so when we see each other at Comic-Con, this cap is yours. How's that?
Oh, fantastic. Oh, okay, that's just cheer me up no end.
Good news. We got to have some good news, guys. Come on.
Okay. Like I say, I think it'd be what lessons can they learn from WonderCon? I mean, what was your take? I mean, Leandy, you were saying about you were constantly getting we were all getting the emails about fresh video coming up on the WonderCon website. Did you click on any of the links? Did you watch any of the WonderCon?
I think I did. Like the first day something came out, I clicked on one, and then after that it was just the next one, it was so far between that it by then I've got other things to do. I mean, look,
quite right.
I mean, not really. I'm got stuck in the house and doing other things, but I mean, I've managed to find other stuff to do by then. So, you lost me by then. Yeah. So, and yeah, it just went on too long.
No, I appreciate that. Michael, did you catch any of the WonderCon footage? Did you watch any of the panels?
Absolutely no. No, it's just no, just simple no. Not
that's a shame.
No, I really hope that they can pull this off. I mean, honestly, if anybody can kind of pull it together and pull it out quickly, I think they might be able to do it. I think it's going to be a little bit of a process to find stuff that you really want to watch. and go through. I mean, of course, you're going to have to think about half of the panels that they had planned probably are people who are not going to do anything. So that weeds out quite a bit. And what big movie studio? I mean, that's going to be an issue with.
Well, we already know about DC. DC have pulled, well, reportedly pulled. I believe they were offered, but DC will not be presenting part of Comic-Con at Home because they're going to be doing their own online effort a month later. So middle of August, there's going to be a big DC online.
They're just going their own damn way with everything, aren't they?
Shock, horror, surprise. What else is new?
But look at DC. We got DC Universe and we got what is that? HBO Max. I mean, come on. Do they have a clue what they're doing? Seriously.
Well, I kind of understand it. DC Universe, then you've got the comics, you've got a dedicated community based around DC property. I have no problem with it. I mean, it's a hub for DC. If anything, I really appreciate it because it also recognizes that the comics exist, which, I mean, you find any kind of online process out there. It's almost like, okay, we'll show you the films, we'll show you the TV series. Oh, the comics. Yeah, they're over there somewhere. You know, at least DC Universe recognizes that the comics exist.
No, you're right, Leonard. They do recognize the comics, which is really good. But if you could share, if you look at DC at Disney Plus, they have separate little parts over there, so you can click on that part and go to all that content, like under Pixar, content under Marvel, content under Star Wars. You could do the same thing with HBO Max, where you put DC Universe in there, you click on it, and you have all that good stuff.
I haven't seen the platform, so I've no idea what it looks like.
Oh no, I've seen both. I've seen all these platforms, and there's a way to do it so that you get all the HBO stuff, but then you still get the full DC universe. You don't take anything away. You give more. That's my point. You get more, and that's all we ask for. We want that beautiful, wonderful content all in one place. We don't have to go to 20 different places to get all this. That is like insane to me. Okay,
yeah,
that's just me.
That's you. I mean, like I say, I think that's going to be the same, like I say, with Comic-Con at Home. It's a case of how to best consolidate all of that content. I'd hate to think that it's going to be a little bit like Star Wars Celebration, where everyone tuned in for the Force Awakens trailer and panel, and then the Star Wars Adventures from IDW panel got like 6 views or something daft. You know what I mean? Where panels and content are just going to get sidelined by the bigger, flashier kind of content. Sarita P is asking, since vendors are doing San Diego Comic-Con exclusives online, do we know if the bigger vendors do it and how? Lego, Hasbro, etc. I think the only indicator we're getting from that is the likes of Sideshow, the likes of... Who else has done exclusives this week? Who was it? There's been a couple that they've started rolling out their own exclusives track a month early. But it's a case of just putting what they would have been selling at Comic-Con online. But there we go.
Yeah, well, Sideshow always does that about a month out, or not a month. They start like kind of previewing what they're going to have for Comic-Con. I have a lot of Sideshow stuff. So, I mean, I've always...
If only I could afford.
It's that payment plan, baby. It's that payment plan.
The thing about it is, and it's the reason why I try desperate... Diamond, thank you very much indeed to the listener who's making you right. Yeah, Diamond are doing theirs. It's the reason why I love and admire the Sideshow booth from a distance, because even the cheaper stuff, just that's my con. And I just like, I can't do it. Because I mean, I went on the Sideshow booth to get a bunch of comics signed by Scotty Young the last time I was there, 2018 when I was last there. And I bought the Scotty Young exclusive, and that was $100 right there. And I'm going, that was just me stepping on the Sideshow booth. Thanks, guys.
Yeah.
It's too much. But as for Lego, I can't quite see how they're going to do it, considering that Lego kind of have their own little corner of the internet anyway. I don't know, unless there's a way of doing like the lottery, the exclusives portal, and just if you win the exclusive portal, then you would win a chance to buy the well, basically what they did with the poster that first year.
Right. Yeah.
That's one way of doing it, and actually still keeping that engine up and running. They've got this mechanics in place. It's a case of just convincing the companies to put their exclusives.
Well, and the other thing is, with them being a European country, I've from what I understand, anything that they had going on here in the States, they kind of locked everything down before they shuttered the doors and went back to Europe, or stopped working here at least. So I don't know what they'd be able to ship out, what they've got ready to go. Even, I mean, are they even in production?
Who knows? I know that I turned around at the very beginning and said, let's keep the politics to a minimum, but Lego have my undying undying loyalty ever since they pulled the White House set and any police sets from their online stores. That's one way
a big thumbs up over here.
How about that for support? Good Lord. Without even tweeting out Black Lives Matter, they supported the movement. It was something else. Let's go through a couple of comments. Jesse Lim, HBO Max shot themselves in the foot by not launching on Roku and Fire Stick in the USA. I pre-subscribed to the platform only to find out it's not coming to Roku. Needless to say, I unsubscribed. You've got Andrew English saying, is HBO Max coming to the UK? As far as I'm aware, no, it's not. So let's put it this way. The international torrenting of Zack Snyder's Justice League is going to be through the it was going to be through the roof anyway, but it's going to be even more so now. Let's have a look at this. Marty Brett's still waiting for a virtual con to do the vendor hall right. They've either been just a list on a webpage or a barely functioning app I didn't want to install in the first place. I think I know which one you're talking about there. Yes, you would be. That, I think, was the closest we got to a possible virtual con. But you're right, you had to install an app to make it work. It was just, yeah, very, very awkward. Into the Blue Mister, the Lego website had an online raffle a few months ago where you could win an older SDCC exclusive. They may do something similar this year. Daniel Betts, Lego equals awesomeness. Of course they are. So, yeah. I think the whole business of... Oh, Shane Davis is here. Hello there, Shane. How are you, sir? Excellent artist. Legendary artist. Great to have him along. That is the thing. I mean, we brought it up when this was virtual con, virtual pop con, or virtual pop, get the name right, virtual pop expo. And you basically had to install an app, and you went through virtual Artist Alley and vendors, and you could drop in and out, and you could talk to the vendor who was registered to be online and available to talk to their audience as people would approach an actual booth. They could buy things there and then, and the promise was there. It just didn't quite work. Can you think of a way, either of you, how that middle ground can be found? Or is it a case of people aren't going to want to dedicate their time attending a virtual con as though it was actually something that you were visiting when you have real life to deal with?
Yeah, I think that would be, yeah, I mean, that's the problem. I mean, first off, I don't know what, app-wise, the back end of it would have enough that, capacity to hold. Like, it's from my cat. That's Mike. One of them. One of them.
No, I'm looking on my phone because I had it on my phone.
Oh, yeah. Anyways, so they, then you have the possibility of also doing what, 300,000 people, those other 150,000 people that never could get tickets, everybody dropping into the app at the same time. I mean, that's that. So, I mean, then again, and then it's like, I mean, who wants? I mean, the idea sounds really nice. Maybe if you it could do it like VR wise.
Yeah.
But I mean, we're not there yet. I mean, I guess
that was
keep
kind
the
of the
pandemic.
promise. It would be a VR rendered thing, but yeah, that kind of got shot in the head. Sarita P, is Shane Davis doing commissions? Very good question. Shane, if you want to connect with Sarita, by all means. That's another thing as well. Let's talk about Artist Alley. I mean, all three of us go and visit that area when the con is up and running.
That's my favorite place.
Absolutely. The getting artists and how that participation would be. Is Comic-Con at home effectively going to disregard the artists that would be and comic creators that would be behind a booth at San Diego Comic-Con?
Don't you guys miss? All right, just real quick. Don't you guys miss actually talking to the artists? I mean, that's the whole point. You actually get to physically interact with them, and you see that work, and then they sign your work that you buy from them, right in front of you. So you have, every time you look up on your wall, you see that, and you remember that entire experience. That's the reason why we go to the Comic-Cons. I mean, so it's to the extent that the collectors want to buy collectibles. I think that they're fine with the virtual stuff. They get the stuff, they get it authenticated, and they sell it someplace else. They don't really care. They're not there for Comic-Con. They're there to make money. But for the rest of us, we're there to meet the creators. Literally the creators of this stuff, because they're always way more interesting when you have a chance to chat with them. I actually had a chance to talk to one of the writers of the Doctor Strange movies when I was at Comic Palooza. Remember I was at Comic Palooza back then? Oh my God, the guy and I were just chatting away, and I was like, oh, blah, 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 blah.
But Robert, right? You were talking with Robert, yeah.
Which one was it?
Yeah, it was Cargill.
See, Robert Cargill.
Yeah,
Massive Room.
Yeah, Massive Room. Yeah, you said something about him today, right? And it's like, oh my God, this guy, and he was so friendly, and we talked about some slightly political issues, because remember the whole hullabaloo about making the Ancient One a woman, and then a white woman at that too, and and I think, remember, Tony Kim weighed in on that.
Indeed.
Remember that? So we had a chance. I actually had a chance to discuss this with the writer, and it was interesting what he said. It was, he had to be very careful what he said, because when you talk about Marvel, you know how Marvel can be, right? But what he said, it was interesting that he had to do they made him do certain rewrites to take into account that it was Tilda Swinton who played the Ancient One.
Yeah. And
he was told to do the rewrites, is I think is what he told me. So I mean, but you don't find this stuff out, if you're on these platforms, because they have to be very careful, because that stuff gets replayed, right?
Sure.
If you're talking one-to-one, they'll have a conversation. If they realize that
very good point.
They actually chat with you, and they tell you things, because
it is a true one-to-one conversation, not a one-to-many. No, that's a very, very good point. Very good point. Okay. Let's go through a couple of the comments coming through. Once again, I've got the link up on the screen. If you want to come in and just say hi and be part of the round table, we'll stay online for another 20 minutes. Like I wanted to say, by the way, Leanne D, Michael P, if you need to get off, by all means, it's entirely up to you. But if we're going to be online, I'd say for another 20 minutes or so, if you want to jump in, the link's there on the screen. Type it into a browser. It just accesses webcam and speaker, and you can just come in and talk to us. Marcy Bretts, why would I want to use an app on a small screen instead of utilizing the big screen on a computer to visit a virtual booth? Yeah, I'm down with that. I'm down for VR. I don't know how I could do it without a VR headset. I'd love to use VR more for this. Solicitor Smeg, to be honest, virtual cons hold little interest for me, and probably most con goers. I'll buy their exclusives. But part of the reason panels do so well is that there's a level of intimacy you can't replicate online. interesting point.
That's true.
There you go.
That's
The
true.
buttons up there. I mean, I've been watching the Comic Book Legal Defense Fund videos this week, and which, by the way, if you get the chance, go to cbldf.org and check out their Zoom webinars that are coming up. They've got a whole bunch that's happening over the next couple of weeks, and we are talking some insanely big names. Check out their list, and it's free to enter. You just sign up for it. I think it also streams to Facebook, but you can actually interact on the Zoom thing. Very, very cool. Very, 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 very cool. Toby Tonlino totally blocking off Leanne's face. Sorry. Would it be easy to set up a virtual SDCC if a Google Street Map camera had been on the com floor at some point in the past? Which it has been to some corners. You can actually get into the back corner of Hall H and look back. It's very, very weird. Using that as a base, vendors could be linked in the typical location in the map, as well as links to other things. So instead of your legs getting tired walking around, people would be furthering their carpal tunnel issues. Thank you. Dan Berry, speaking of artist commissions, Arnold and Ninjabot list will open tomorrow, Monday for June 15th. Yes, I saw that notification up as well. Michael P is determined to get me to talk about Artemis Fowl. I'll save it for the end. I'm saving it for the end. Deal with it.
Okay, so we already watched it too. So
We're all ready. We're all ready. Yes.
Right, guys. 15 minutes and counting.
Okay.
There you go. I'll dive in.
Fair enough.
Okay. Andrew English, I can never find the GalaxyCon links, only the what's coming up page. I've done my best to cover as much as I can about GalaxyCon and their efforts. I find it a little bit expensive for my liking. I think it's a bit rich for my blood. And yeah, the actual interface is a bit clunky. They haven't quite nailed that down yet. Let's have a look at this. Chuck Cook as well. Absolutely agree with Michael P. Further, I wouldn't know everyone on my screen right now without meeting them at cons. So there you go. It is about that. It is about that face-to-face.
It's absolutely 100% community. I mean, that's how we have all become friends over the years. I mean, I have some of my best friends are in this group that's right here on the screen and then online here. I mean, I know I can call Michael P. In fact, Michael P. and I talk at least 2 or 3 times a week. So.
Well, we love you too, Rita.
Yeah, but you know that, Leonard, come on. I mean, the parties. I mean, Leanne and I went to a very special party at last San Diego Comic-Con, which was, oh my God. Seriously, it was
quite amazing.
It was off the hook. Come on. I mean, that's what Leonard, that's part of it. Just the sheer excitement, the energy level. I mean, come on. You don't sleep there. You just lay down on a bed for a few seconds and then you're back up running around like a crazy person. Come on. For that entire week, we lived 3 years or something in that 1 week, because it's just so much happening in such a short period of time. How do you you can't replicate that?
You can't replicate. I mean, getting to talk to like the writers of the Expanse books, along with the writers of the Expanse TV show, along with the stars at that party, and there was a handful of people there. It wasn't like it was a big, open, invited thing. There was maybe 25 people there at that point, Michael P.
Well, there's probably 100, but the space was so large, it didn't seem like that many.
Yeah, well, they're in the area talking with them. That was it was really small and intimate, and those are stopping by the table, just different ones, different artists, different writers. I mean, I remember quite a few years ago, there was a small panel with Matt Fraction, just barely in the bottom of the schedule on a Sunday afternoon. And there was, the room was full, but it was intimate and special and wonderful. And it was just like, but there was one that we went to when Matt Taylor, who does all the Mondo posters, that was intimate. There was 15, 20 people in that room with him. Or more, maybe a little more, but I mean, it was really small, intimate. Those are the things I'm missing.
remember when remember when they used to have conversations for a cause? Leonard, you were at one of those. Remember those? Oh my God. Those were absolutely intimate, and you got to ask your uncensored questions. And thank God most of the people there were really, just true fans, and so the questions were really great. You remember that?
I'm particularly grateful. I mean, we've got Brandon Troy's joining us. Hello there, Brandon. I think his mic's muted, but he's hello, Brandon. Yeah,
Hello.
I'm particularly. You had it. You had it there. You had it for a second. I was particularly glad of that particular conversation because it was Nerd HQ. It was with Joss Whedon, and I asked a question which basically implied that I was an up-and-coming superstar. At which point he pretty much called me out on it and effectively asked for security to get me to leave the room. So that was rather cool.
That was hilarious. I remember that, Leonard. That was so good. That was hilarious.
I could have worded that better.
Yes, you could have.
Possibly. Brandon, great. How are you doing, sir? How's your lockdown been?
It's been interesting. I figured I'd hop on a little bit. It's been a while. What's going on, Mike? We're a couple weeks in phase 1. So
volume.
Oh
yeah, you can just I can hear.
Okay. I was gonna say we're a couple of weeks into phase 1, possibly getting into phase 2, perhaps in a week or so. So we'll see.
Okay. Brandon, what cons would you have been going to this year? I mean, well, that's a question for all of you. What cons would you have been going to?
Yeah, most of the ones that I've done, honestly, have just been like one-on-one. I'll be honest with you. I haven't really. The last con I went to was C2E2 in person. So it's been a couple of months.
Fair enough. Michael, what shows would you have been attending this year?
I would have, I've missed C2E2. I was supposed to go to Emerald City Comic Con, supposed to go to WonderCon, supposed to go to Denver Pop Culture Con, supposed to go to San Diego Comic Con, I'm supposed to go to Dragon Con, I'm supposed to go to New York Comic Con. And so no place. Didn't go any place this year, So
you're saving a lot on your flights and hotels.
I'm saving a huge amount of money in miles because I had a whole bunch of miles racked up too. So this is all going to apply to next year because thankfully, and I want to do a shout out because we tend to criticize these guys too much. Well, not too much, rightfully so in some cases, but Delta was very good about refunding my money back to me in my miles. There is another airline, which I don't want to mention because I think they're evil, but I'm not going to mention their names, United. And, but like I said, I won't mention their names, but some people are just evil, they're Satan spawn. That's what they are, but that's okay. Because we have Spawn comics. And so Satan's got to have his representation of the earth to us.
Yeah. Let's very quickly go through some comments. Guys, this is all about you, so it's all about your comments. I mean, people are actually talking about the after parties. Sirius P is going to miss the after parties, free drinks. Right.
Yes.
Now, listen. This is where I'm going to make a little bit of an announcement because I did put something up online about an Englishman's Comic Con. The idea was I was going to organize a bunch of panels from 10 a.m. Pacific through till 3 p.m. Pacific and basically do 5 panels back to back all 4 days. That was the plan. At which point then San Diego Comic Con have announced theirs and what they're planning to do. And basically I realized that I'd be treading on their toes. So I'm not going to be doing that. We are going to be having some great guests on that week. Todd Stashwick is the first one that's confirmed. We're going to have him on the show or on the live stream. But what I am going to be doing and what I am going to be announcing right now is I'm going to be organizing a Zoom meeting for everyone and anyone to come and join, anyone who's in the Comic-Con community to get some drinks in. And we're going to have a Comic-Con after party. And we're going to get slightly smashed. Talking cons, talking about our summer and the best things about going to Comic-Con. We're going to have a Comic-Con after party. Okay? That's
only slightly, Leonard.
That's perfect because I have a whole lot of damn vodka. So let's get on it.
I've got a bottle somewhere. Hang on a second. I think
I'll share my mojito.
I still think I've got something left from the champagne bottle from yesterday's wedding anniversary. So. So yeah, that's what we're going to organize. We're going to do a Comic-Con after party. But there we go. Karma Savage, great to have Karma watching. It's been a while since we've spoken to you. Hello, Karma. Speaking of virtual cons panel handling, I have been digging Josh Gad's Reunited Apart series. Hasn't that been cool? The Lord of the Rings one was good. That was fun. I find it's easier to skip through the Josh Gad bits, but hey, that's just me. There you go. That's a bit of a tease for the Artemis Fowl chat a little bit later as well, because that I could have skipped through quite a bit. Into the Blue Mister. Oh no, Jug Cook. The Nerd HQ conversations for a cause are a whole different kettle of eels. They basically got shut down by SDCC because the stars were leaving official panels to attend them. They're not likely to return, but they were amazing. Has everyone or anyone seen Nerd HQ? Oh God. Okay, why is his mind just? What was in this? Bloody hell. Who's Zach Levi? Did anyone see his tweets this week?
Oh no, I missed him. Is he talking about starting his thing over again?
He was asked about Nerd HQ. He was asked why was it basically kicked out of San Diego, and he said basically the powers that be did not want him there, so they were muscled out of town. Nerd HQ will never be returning to San Diego. And Nerd HQ there is a future there. He wants to bring it back and do something with it. So there we go.
Yeah. I just think he's going to have to go someplace else. There's no way he's going to be able to do that in San Diego.
But you know, honestly, though, guys, considering how huge San Diego Comic, I love. All right, let me just say this. I have to say this ahead of time. San Diego Comic-Con is just the most amazing thing I've ever seen. Ever been a part of, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. They could be a little bit more gracious, because honestly, Nerd HQ didn't take away from it, because if it took ticket sales, I could see an issue. But dear God in heaven, they turned down like 1 million people who want badges. How is it doesn't negatively affect them? I don't get it. And I don't know if it had something to do with contractual issues. I mean, because when you start looking at the legal issues, it gets way more complicated than you and I, any of us know, because we're not privy to those contracts. But
it definitely had a lot to do with the fact that they paid those people, those stars, to be there.
Yeah.
And then them turn around and leave early at panels and to be across the street at the, at Nerd HQ. And that has a lot to do with it. I mean, that's a huge problem when you got people leaving panels early, not Comic-Con attendees, but people that they paid. Comic-Con paid the stars to come, paid their flights or whatever, or their cars to come down from LA, whatever they were doing, hotel rooms, whatever. So I think that's where you're having the problem. And then you've also got the uptick in the cost of these different places. These different places saw how much money was coming in and started raising their rent for the 2 weeks that they were or the week or so that it took them to put up for Comic-Con and stuff. So, there's a lot of factors.
I'm curious as to if that's the reason why Nerdist and Geek and Sundry stopped doing it at the Petco. Might be
That's 100% why.
Yeah.
Price.
Brandon, I mean,
money.
what's your take? I mean, but certainly, you kind of jumped in halfway
Well,
through.
I was going to say, correct. Yeah, no worries. I was going to say, correct me if I'm wrong, but at least with the guests, I know a lot of times the studios actually budget getting the guests there in terms of like their hotel, their stay, their flight, so on and so forth. But I do, Leanne, see what you're saying. Just the overall like theme of money that it does affect in terms of having that attraction for the attendees themselves, and how that can play into the amount of money that they foresee that they'll be able to generate in having those guests there. So it's unfortunate. It was a cool thing, a cool piece of program that they had at San Diego. So it's unfortunate that we won't have it anymore, but oh well, it is what it is, I suppose.
Yeah. Chuck Cook has chimed in. Phaedra has had some off the record discussions with people who know, and what Leanne is talking about is exactly what happened with Nerd HQ. So there you go. Let's have a look at this. Right, I'm 3 minutes and counting, and then I'm diving into Artemis Fowl. So there we go. Michael P's chomping at the bit, man. He's ready to go.
No, I want to hear your opinion. I really just want to hear your opinion because you know
you want it. You want it. You got it. Brandon, in terms of Comic-Con at home, what would you like to see from it? What would you like to expect San Diego Comic-Con International to deliver with a virtual con?
Well, just by virtue of it being a con at home, I mean, you're not really going to bring that same energy or be able to repeat that same type of energy that you would have at Hall H. But with that being said, hopefully with the folks that are still at this point scheduled to go, whether it's the comic houses or whether it's our studios, still being able to get content, out of and information out of the show, whether it's just, announcement drops of like trailers or things of that nature, announcements of casting. We might, I'll be honest with you, seeing what DC is doing, we might actually, even though it's not really being announced yet, we might see a little more of that just to make it, more exclusive for those fandoms that you have. Just because it is at home and it doesn't, I guess for DC, it doesn't really feel exclusive enough. So, you might see a lot more of that as a trend with a lot of people doing their own thing. Yeah. So it would definitely be interesting.
I mean, the one thing I do know, and I can officially announce now, that something that will be announced at Comic-Con at home will be the rescheduling of New Mutants again. So that's going to get rescheduled anytime. Again. So there you go. That's my official reveal. But that was me trying to be funny, and we stopped being funny about that bloody film now. So there we go. Right. Okay. Let's very quickly get this out of the way real quick. If you have watched Disney Plus, if you have Disney Plus, you will have noticed that a film has dropped starring Dame Judi Dench, directed by Lord Kenneth Branagh, and starring some incredible talent and having some pretty impressive special effects somewhere along the line. About 40% of it, 50% of it's pretty good. And you've got Josh Gad, but we'll kind of skip over that. Artemis Fowl, based on the Ewan Colfer young adult books, dropped online on Friday. Right, I'll try and do this in 60 seconds. Let's see if I've got myself a countdown, which I can just bring up here. 60 seconds. Okay. It is an absolute Frankenstein's monster of a movie. It is a film which pulled from so many different disparate elements. You have your Harry Potter sky bubble bit. You have your MCU Skybeam section. You have your pulling from different films and different elements in a car crash of a effort, which for a film which is supposed to breathe life into a Frankenstein monster, it is completely devoid of life. It has a full 30 minutes at the beginning of a 90-minute film, which is a non-stop exposition dump, which makes no goddamn sense. You are going to be lost even from the beginning of the film, which means you get 30 minutes of someone trying to explain the world to you and still failing to do so. You have the moment you get into the fairy world, which is when the film actually takes up a gear. That's 30 minutes in. You have a lead character which is so devoid of any kind of personality, you forget he's on screen. You forget he's even in the film when he leaves the screen. You have two characters which you actively forget are even in the film once the thing is done and dusted. What else? Very, very quickly. Oh, yeah. And Artemis Fowl is supposed to be a complete and utter twat. And in this, they try and make him likable, and they completely miss the point of what Artemis Fowl is all about. Okay, I think that's me.
How you really feel? Tell them how you really.
Avoid it like the goddamn. Well, no. Watch it for a beautiful mess of how not to make a film. It actually convinces me that Kenneth Branagh, that Thor and a couple of the films when he first got started were flukes, because he doesn't know how to tell a story in terms of an actual 3-act arc or motivations. He can direct people by all means. He can act anyone off the planet. He's one of the finest actors on breathing, but he can't tell a story. He cannot tell a story. Simple as that. I cannot tell you what the motivations of what any of the characters were. It makes no sense, and I don't just mean that in a full dismissive term. It generally just makes no sense.
Leonard, can I say that?
Anyone else want to chime in?
Yeah, let me say this. I think that, I mean, you know, Disney got a hold of it. And so clearly the true Artemis Fowl that we all read about and that we kind of like, you know, he was an interesting character. It should have been on Netflix or, you know, so a venue like that where you could do that character, the real character that is Artemis Fowl. Because he's a little bit on he's on the dark side, you know.
He's a shit.
Yeah. And so that's something you do with Netflix or Hulu. But, you know, Disney doing it, and you know, it became a Saturday morning Disney thing. And you're right. They threw a whole bunch of stuff in there together, and they were hoping it was going to work. That, you know, it's like, Fantastic Four. It's like the Josh Trank Fantastic Four. It's not the Fantastic Four. It's a side. It's not the Fantastic Four. It is.
The two films that I got big feelings for was Fantastic Four and A Wrinkle in Time. A Wrinkle in Time is based on a well-loved book. It's got some real spirit to it. If you read the book, it's got some very impressive intellectual through lines to it. You then have a director in Ava who I also don't particularly rate as a director. Certainly not of fiction work. The other things that she's done in terms of documentary is fantastic, but as a storyteller, it's all artifice and there's no spine to it. There's no backbone. There's me. I mean, Brandon, have you seen it yet? What was your thoughts on it?
Yeah, again, I was gonna say, Leonard, just tell us how you really feel. But anyway, I digress. Just to be succinct about it, you know, when it comes to studios, it's really all about trends. When you have a film that really works, everyone wants to kind of jump on the bandwagon of it. I remember, you know, era of Matrix, you know, you had all these wire fu films that came out that were very much like the Matrix with bullet time and all that stuff. You know, the MCU, when it started to come into its heyday in the beginning of phase 1, you started to see a lot of studios try to do a shared universe. I remember when they tried to do all these YA, you know, franchises and jumpstart all these YA franchises with Hunger Games and all these things. So it's just a matter of a studio trying to, you know, put together something that can potentially, you know, stand the test of time and perhaps become a franchise, but it just didn't work.
Marcy Brett, Artemis Fowl is on my list for bad movie night. Is it appropriate to drink alcoholic beverages during a YA film? Yes. Just make sure they're not in a glass container because you don't want to damage your screen. I was just disappointed. I was just so disappointed. Into the Blue Mister, it sounds like the complete opposite of what they did with a series of unfortunate events. I have my own feelings about that. I'm a fan of the film. I think they could have done more with making the series its own thing instead of just basing it on the film. But that was just me. I think it could have had its own tone, its own style, and instead they just basically remade the film. But there we go. Yeah, it's the other thing I said.
I will tell you this. Unfortunately, the Spawn actually liked it. So.
Okay.
But she's never read any of the books. She had no. I mean, she had some problems with some of the storytelling and the way the clunkiness of the story, but she liked it overall. But she has never read any of the books or has any. She doesn't know any of the history behind or any of that stuff. So, but she's not going to go out and search it out. I don't think she would have ever gone. You know, so
that was a question I asked when I did my kind of tweet along of the thing. If anyone's not read the books, please tell me what you think of it.
You liked it, right? The Artemis Fowl? She's standing right there. Yeah, she liked the movie. She liked... I mean,
it's in the same boat as like A Wrinkle in Time, where it doesn't really know what it wants to be.
It's in the same vein as A Wrinkle in Time. It doesn't know where it wants to be. That was her, what kind of movie it wants to be. That's what she thought about it.
Yeah, I go along with that. The other thing that I mean, Brandon alluded to it as well, and I tweeted it out, and I'd stand by it. If this had gone into cinemas, this would have been the story we would have been talking about this weekend and next weekend as the film that would have very possibly brought down Disney. This would have died on its arse. This would have absolutely died.
I was gonna say, I would say this, Leonard. I would say, I don't know. It'd be kind of strong with everything that Disney has done so far and all the franchises that they still have, that it would have brought them down. But I will say, perhaps they already saw the writing on the wall, and that's why it went to Disney Plus.
I mean, you're absolutely right. Wrinkle of Time died in its ass, and people were talking about that as being the death of Disney, and Disney's still here. So yeah, you're right. Of course you are. Of course you are. You're Brandon Troy. Your movers and shakers.
I try sometimes.
Right. I'm going to get off because I mean, we really could just continue shouting about Artemis Fowl for a while. But let's wrap things up with what we could see down the line at the end of the light at the end of the tunnel. We have got some shows which are scheduled to go ahead. You got Tampa, which is still scheduled to go. You've got New York City, which at this point is still scheduled to go. If I go around the room, when would be the next time that you would feel comfortable going to a Comic-Con? Brandon.
When we have a vaccine.
Fair enough.
Whenever that time is.
Okay. Leanne?
Next year sometime. Give me the vaccine. I mean, I think I've had it. I don't know. I need an antibody test. But I'm not going anywhere until next year. I know I was supposed to go to Thought Bubble, but I have canceled.
Fair enough.
So.
Well, we'll see how that goes. We have yet to hear. I mean, that's another one that's here in the UK. It is the single largest comics-related convention here in the UK. It is a lot of people crowded into what would be 4 rooms of a building which has been the North of England's Nightingale Hospital, so similar to what the Javits Centre is. So, yeah. Michael P., when would you be comfortable going to a Comic-Con?
I'm thinking C2E2 next year. Oh, wait a minute. No. I take it back, because C2E2 and WonderCon are at the same time. So WonderCon next year.
Okay.
Because you know what? Again, we're trying to be positive. I think we're going to have a vaccine. I think we'll actually have a vaccine by the end of the year, because some of these seriously the best scientists in the world and the companies are all working on this because the companies want it because it's going to make them a fortune. The scientists, because that's what scientists do, and we have the capability. Look at the tools that they're using now. Look how fast they were able to look at the diagram of the DNA for this thing. So I mean, everybody's working like crazy to get it. So I think we're gonna have a vaccine by the end of the year. I'm being positive, and I'm planning on going to WonderCon next year. Right now, not buying the ticket, not buying a plane ticket until about a month before, just to be on the safe side. Not doing that again.
Fair enough. If I check my tin foil inside my hat, they're not going to have a vaccine until enough of the people that they don't have to pay life insurance benefits for have passed on. Oh, now how about that for dark? There you go. There's Liam D going. So yeah, okay, right.
Look, I'm right there with you in the capitalistic society that we live in. I'm 100% behind you.
There you go.
Anarchist is right behind you.
Fair enough. Marcy Betts, as somebody who is contributing to Comic Con at home, as somebody who is putting number one, looking forward to seeing what you're doing with Comic Con at home. Looking forward to seeing what the actual panel output is going to look like. Who's going to guarantee that the attendees are actually vaccinated? It's a very good point. It's putting a lot of reliance on thousands of people, of which we are seeing right now. There's a lot of very stupid people out there. We are seeing real time that there's a lot of stupid people out there. Right, guys, I want to say thank you very much indeed for coming on. I really appreciate your thoughts and your comments, and it's been a pleasure talking to you. It's been a pleasure seeing you guys again. Brandon, it's been too long. Michael, likewise. Leanne D, it's just a shame we're not going to see you here in Harrogate. So
I know. I was looking forward to it, especially because I was going to spend a couple weeks there and just wander around.
It's a pretty part of the world. No lie.
I'm disappointed. I was looking for next year, Thought Bubble. Next year for sure.
There we go.
By then I will be, and you won't be able to get me out of that part of England by the time I get there next year.
We'll just have to adopt you. I'm okay with it.
I'll bring the posters.
Yeah. Brandon, I'm going to let you have your chance to just pimp your wares, moving and shakers. Go on, tell us all about it.
Thank you. So yeah, host and co-creator of Movers and Shakers Unlimited. We do a lot of stuff. Well, recently we've been doing a lot of stuff live with a lot of guests. We actually had Mark Serby on last week, along with Aaron Couch from The Hollywood Reporter. We every single week go live talking about different subjects. However, the website Movers and Shakers Unlimited, Twitter Movers and Shakers, and Instagram same thing. You can find me there as well, Brandon Troy ENT. So
very worthwhile checking out. Excellent stuff indeed. It's been a pleasure talking to you guys. Thank you indeed for coming on. In fact, Michael, do you want to very quickly pimp the forum and what you do? Yeah.
Friends of Comic Con, staff writer over there, and of course, all things Expanse. So if you need anything about the Expanse, you can call. Okay,
Of course. Excellent stuff. Listen, guys, thank you very much indeed. I think Andrew English very quickly asking there, Mark who? Sorry, who was that name?
Mark Serby. He's actually writes with BBC Suffolk, mutual friend of me and Leonard's. He's a
he writes for the Convention Collective as well on occasion. But yes, there you go. Little bit of a thing there. Right, guys, thank you very much indeed for coming on. It's been a pleasure.
Thanks, guys. Miss everybody.
See you.
Bye, Brandon. Take care.
Bye. Nice meeting you.
Excellent. That was fun, and I want to do more of these. Probably once every month or so. Do a kind of like a State of the Union, invite people on, but don't disappear just yet, everybody. I'm going to do a couple of quick announcements, but yeah, thank you very much indeed. We'll try and do another couple of these State of the Union shows down the line. Right. I did mention about that an Englishman Comic Con, and I set everything up, and the idea was I was going to do fundraising. I was going to try and do an art jam, a digital art jam for an hour, have two artists do artwork and then swap the files over digitally and then ink each other's artwork. I had ideas for that. I had ideas for I had a whole bunch of ideas of basically 5 panels a day, non-stop, 4 days, and just basically doing a virtual con. And I didn't want to tread on San Diego Comic-Con's toes. I didn't want to upset them. So I'm going to let them do what they do. We are, during that week, going to be speaking to Todd Stashwick, who is an excellent actor. He's somebody who I bumped into at D23 about 3-4 years ago, and he's willing to come back and talk to me, even though I was talking into my phone, and I was in board shorts and looking very scruffy. But no, he's decided he's up for coming back on. So he's certainly going to be a guest that week. So we'll see what happens with that. As for the question, what's going to be happening with this after party, Into the Blue Mist, reminders when the after party is planned so I can book the next day off work. Details to come. We'll sort something out. What I'll do is I'll even hook up the DJ equipment. We'll have music in the background. We'll have a live set, and we'll basically just have as many people jumping in to a Zoom party, and we'll have a Comic-Con after party. We'll sort it. We'll get it. We'll get details to you. But there we go. Right. What else we got? Very quickly, I do want to say thank you very much indeed to Michael P, to Leanne D, to Chuck, to Solicitor Smeg trying his best, and also to Brandon Troy as well. Let's have a look at this. People talking about the Expanse at the moment, so that'd be cool. Talking about upcoming guests, by the way, and upcoming shows. This is kind of showing what was remaining for this month, but this is what we can talk about. The Wednesday show, we are actually just trying to finalize a guest, so bear with us. But the next couple of days, I'll be able to announce who that guest is going to be. Next Sunday's show is going to be something a little bit special. We're actually going to be broadcasting to a number of locations because we have, there's a website out there, you may be aware of them, called The Con Guy, doing a very similar thing to what I do, bringing you updates about conventions and pop culture, doing obviously a bit more about the pop culture thing at the moment because that's what we're all doing at the moment. But basically, we are going to do a cross-pollination show, and for an hour, we're going to be talking about our own thoughts on things like New York Comic-Con, Tampa, virtual conventions, the future of conventions, basically talking about what we've been talking about on this show, but with a little bit more of an informed spin on it. There's two of the Con Guide team that's going to be jumping on, and we're hopefully going to be broadcasting from this channel, but also to their channel as well. So we're going to kind of do a cross-pollination thing. So it should be, we're going to work out how to best do it, but that's what we're going to be doing. It's a special event. It's taking place next week. The Con Guy versus Talking Con. That's going to be next Sunday. Wednesday, 24th of June, confirmed for now. Bill Sienkiewicz is going to be joining us and talking about his career and his interactions at conventions. Leanne D is saying, so you're finally getting Bill Sienkiewicz. We had a comment on the show on Wednesday, and I stand by it as well. Someone basically commented, we will not believe Bill Sienkiewicz is actually on the Hangout and on the live stream until he's actually on the live stream. I kind of get that. I understand it. So bear with us. For now, he has agreed to come on. 24th of June, Bill Sienkiewicz. And then on Sunday, the 28th of June, we are going to be having the return of Russ Burlingame and Mike Avelia. We had them on the last show of last month, and it was an absolute blast. So much has happened in the meantime. I mean, that's the way of the world right now, that the last 7 days, the last 7 hours, I'd hate to think just turning on the news while we've been on air, what's happened. We are going to be having them back to talk about all sorts of things. They are both obviously very much clued about the comics industry. So we're going to be talking about the DC decision. We're going to be talking about the losses we've had over the last couple of days. We're going to be talking about the way things. We're going to be talking about, I don't know, Justice League. We're going to be talking about all sorts of pop culture. They know what they're talking about. Who knows what's going to happen between now and Sunday, the 28th of June. Our topics could change entirely, radically. But either way, the three of us are going to talk it out, and they are two of the best guys to talk about it. Russ Burlingame and Mike Avelia. Please check that out. We had 3 shows just happened. We had Louise Saul and Dave Taylor. We had Fred Randente and Tina Gann. And we had Alex Patnadell and Declan Shelby. Please do check out those YouTube shows, because I personally think they are 3 of the best shows we've had all season, and we've had some blinders, but those 3 were really good. Fred was really cool. Alex and Deck were just amazing. Please do check them out. Like, subscribe. I'm going to do the whole classic, hit the bell, hit the notifications. It tells you when we're going live. If we spring a last-minute incidental episode on you, you will find out when it's happening. Do hit the like and subscribe. Hit the like video because it helps us out, and it does get the profile out there. That's me. That's us. That's our show. Thank you very much indeed for joining us. It's been our roundtable, and we're going to try and do a couple more of these down the line because it's all about you guys. Thank you so much indeed for watching. Stay safe. Continue, please, for the love of God, keep washing your hands. 20 seconds, because that seems to have been forgotten recently. Can we just keep doing that? That'd be great. Look after you and yours. Stay safe. For myself, take care, and we'll see you on Wednesday. Watch this space for our special guest announcement, but we are going to be having someone pretty special, fingers crossed, on Wednesday, the 17th of June. See you then. 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. GMT. Take care.